I will knock your into the dirt. Hello friends and welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie Chase and today we are reviewing the first AEW Dynamite of 2022, which saw Chris Jericho take on Ricky Starks as well as Samoa Joe versus Darby Allin for the TNT Championship and a whole new look for Dynamite. As always, I'll be giving you my hot takes on all the matches and biggest angles from the show, as well as telling you what I was the biggest fan of. But before we get to all that, make sure you give me a follow on Twitter, TikTok and Instagram, all at Stephanie M. Chase. Also check out my OnlyFans and merch, which is linked in the description below, and also check out my Patreon to support this channel and for exclusive content. Now, on to the show. So it was a brand new Dynamite for 2023. We got a new opening video, same theme song though, and then a new stage with bigger screens. Everything's very neon, a bit like what this channel changed to. Anyway, there was red and blue added to the arena, like ribbon boards. It looked really good. It wasn't a drastic change. There was no new ring apron or barricade covers, which I think could have just elevated things a bit more. But when you saw the entrances and the wide shots, and when they showed the commentary table specifically, it did all look really fresh and new. Out first for the new look was Chris Jericho, who took on Ricky Starks. I will say the new design looked like it was made for Ricky Starks. It went with his entrance perfectly. Now, this I thought was a really good match. Even though Jericho was coming off 2 losses to Claudio Castagnoli and Action Andretti, Starks still felt like a real underdog. And they were in Seattle, so a lot of people were really over, including referee Aubrey. She was over, and during this match, Jericho got even more heat by shoving her. In the match, we had Angelo Parker and Matt Menard on the outside. They got involved. They tripped Starks at one point, and later when Jericho had the walls hooked on Starks, Parker distracted Aubrey and Matt Menard hit Ricky with the baseball bat. Now, this really seemed like it was all over for Ricky. Aubrey went over to check on him. His hand dropped twice, but on the third, he fired up and managed to escape. And then we got this awesome ending sequence where he got a close call, putting Jericho in an inside cradle, and then he hit him with a swinging DDT off the ropes and then a spear to get the win. So yeah, absolutely awesome match. Really pleased to see Ricky get the win, and I want to see more from these two, and it looks like we are going to, because after the match we had a beatdown from the JAS. Action Andretti ran out to make the save. He had some really good eye makeup on because, you know, he'd been hit by that fireball 2 weeks ago. But then we had Ty Mello and Anna Jay hitting him with a low blow, and then Menard and Parker set up a table at ringside, and Jake Hager powerbombed Starks off the apron through the table. So this feud will continue, and I'm very glad it will, because I think Ricky is doing such a good job. He deserves this prominent spot, and it's cool to see Action Andretti not forgotten either. Next, we had the handsome cowboy Hangman Page, who is on his weekly travels to get cleared after his concussion. He was talking to Tony Schiavone in the ring. He told them that he's not medically cleared to compete, but his psychic doctor said that if he doesn't get into a fight this week, he will be cleared next week. And what is he going to do next week? He's going to knock Moxley's dick in the dirt. Yes. And oddly, that wasn't the most bizarre thing said on this show this week. Moxley, then he came out. We had a new set, but we didn't have new microphones, as the crowd couldn't hear what he was saying. He dropped a couple of F-bombs and then it was all fixed. They had a really good back and forth. I thought this cleared up some of the storyline issues that some people had. Basically, Paige explained that he's not angry because Moxley knocked him out. He's angry because Moxley made a joke of it. I think the two of them are going to have a really good match. It is set for next week. If Hangman gets cleared, of course he's getting cleared. Yeah, it's going to be a great match, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see who the crowd supports here, because you've got John Moxley, who's kind of the AEW like stalwart, steady ship, reliable guy, and then you've got Hangman Page, who's the most homegrown top guy in AEW. Up next, if you want drama, then you got it, because the Acclaimed took on Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal for the AEW tag team titles. Now, first here we got another great rap from Max Caster, and Karen Jarrett better close her ears. The match started, it was a pretty good match, but I will say more for the personalities involved rather than the wrestling. So we had stuff like Max Caster mocking Jarrett with some Kurt Angle mannerisms. Yes, it's true, it's true. We had when Lethal was outside, he slapped daddy ass Billy Gunn, and then Billy Gunn got so fired up that he was ejected from ringside, and then Jeff Jarrett did a dance, which is probably the best thing he's done in AEW so far. And then later Satnam Singh threw Caster into the ring steps, and that means he got ejected, but because he was so big, all the officials had to come out to hold him back. So we had the officials there on the ramp watching the match, as then AEW nearly ruined 2023. Jarrett hit the stroke, then Lethal made the cover. The ref counted 1, 2, 3, even though Anthony Bowen's foot was on the rope, which Sanjay Dutt knocked off. There you go, 2023 ruined already. The Acclaimed have lost the AEW Tag Team Championship to Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. But oh no, all was not lost. A Seattle hometown hero, Aubrey Edwards, comes down. She'd been watching everything from the ramp while holding back Satnam Singh. She told the referee that Bowen's foot was on the rope, and the match was restarted. Yes, we started the year with a dusty finish. And eventually, Anthony Bowens got the roll-up and won the match. This was super fun. A nice bit of drama that I think got everyone. And it was just a really cool match. This crowd, I don't know if I've said it already, but this crowd were absolutely on fire. And this match gave them a really good opportunity to go absolutely wild, especially with the finish that they were trying to do, which really worked. Something like that does work if you use it sparingly, and I thought it was awesome. Next, quick match as hometown man Bryan Danielson defeated Tony Nese as quick as possible. Nothing really to say there. Standard Bryan Danielson match. But afterwards, he called out MJF and said that he still had some fight left in him tonight. MJF came out. He, of course, declined to wrestle Bryan Danielson. And then we got into some really bizarre your mama jokes type stuff. MJF said he wouldn't be surprised if Bryan Danielson's mother in 1981 opted for a goat instead of a human suitor. Human suitor then became what I think now is the phrase of 2023 so far, because Bryan Danielson hit back at him and said that all the boys in the back are talking about how many human suitors MJF's mom had. This was a little bit strange. I don't know why this descended into stuff about human suitors and mothers and all of that. But then we got back on track because MJF said that if Danielson wants a title shot, he needs to become #1 contender. To do that, he would have to wrestle every week between now and February the 8th, and then he'll get a title shot at Revolution in March. Sidebar, I literally just booked my flights to Revolution, so I will see you there, MJF and Bryan Danielson. Anyway, Danielson eventually agreed to MJF's terms, but only if he could pick the stipulation for the Revolution match. MJF was like, fine, I'm just going to cheat anyway. But then Danielson picked a 60-minute Iron Man match. Yes, a 60-minute Iron Man match. So I think the challenge for Revolution is for Tony Khan to hold off on doing a 14-match card, even though there's a 60-minute Iron Man match, because I really feel like that's something he'd try to do. Danielson said that he would expose MJF for his cardio and footwork and win the Iron Man match. So yeah, as I said, the Your Mama stuff was weird. Then the challenge, I don't know, 60-minute Iron Man match, that's pretty cool. I think I'm not very confident on how, I've always been told I pronounce Aaron wrong. So I'm not very happy about having to say that for the next 7 or 8 weeks, but there you go. I'm one of the people that loves Brett versus Shawn at WrestleMania 12. So yeah, I hope they can recapture some of that magic. But it's a tough one to do, but I do have faith in those two guys. MJF is not just a great promo, he's a great wrestler. And Bryan Danielson is, of course, Bryan Danielson. So I am looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to the weeks leading up to it too. Next, we have Swerve Strickland and his mogul affiliates, Parker Bordeaux and Unnamed Tattooed Man, defeating AR Fox. Now, This was absolutely fantastic, and if you know about Killshot and Dante Fox in Lucha Underground, you would have expected it to be fantastic. There were really great moments here. The crowd was so into it. Towards the end, you saw Fox hit a great 450 for a close near fall. Parker Bordeaux, at one point, he put a weapon to Swerve, who hit Fox in the corner, while the tattooed guy had the referee distracted, and then Swerve hit a Death Valley driver off the second rope onto the ring apron and the Swerve stomp for the ring. This was so good. Swerve is going to have a massive year. The only thing I'm not convinced on is his two henchmen, and they have to give the tattooed man a name. We cannot have Tony Schiavone just calling him a freak on commentary. Please just tell us this guy's name. Why is it such a big secret? I mean, it's not as if he can hide. He's so distinct looking. Give us his name, please. But yeah, AR Fox, awesome as well, but I see such big things for Swerve. He's carrying himself like a top guy right now, even though he hasn't ascended into the main event scene. So cool. Okay, let's now get to this Saraya, Mercedes Moné, all of this kind of stuff. So earlier we had Tony interviewing Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker about their match that is happening next week against Saraya and a mystery partner. In it, Britt Baker dropped the word boss and a wink. So, looks like a tease for Mercedes Moné, the former Sasha Banks, who made her debut for New Japan at Wrestle Kingdom. I've already bought my Mercedes Moné t-shirt, so I just want to preface everything I'm going to say with how much I love Mercedes and how much I would love to see her in AEW. Then we went to Saraya, HIKARU, SHIDA, and Toni Storm. Saraya was sitting in the middle. They were being interviewed by Renee Paquette. So during this segment was just a miss for me, which is kind of what we've been getting from Saraya. There is a real disconnect with the way she delivers promos, where you never know if she is teasing a heel turn or if it's just her delivery. She basically always seems like she's here doing us a favor. So during this, she said that her partner would be the best on the AEW roster, and then turned to Toni Storm, and HIKARU SHIDA looked angry. So it's announced that Toni Storm is her partner. Of course, everyone's expecting Mercedes, but there are conflicting reports on whether or not it is Mercedes. Some people are saying it is. Other people, namely Dave Meltzer, are saying it's not. We could always have HIKARU SHIDA take out Toni Storm. It's all really baffling. I think it's not helped by how this segment went down. I don't know I don't know if it really fit what the actual purpose of it was. I do want to see Mercedes in AEW. Of course I do. She's an amazing wrestler. I don't want to see her debut this way. I think throwing her in to the mix with Saraya will minimize her star power, really. I want to see her, if she's going to debut, maybe the Swerve is actually that she debuts next week and it's nothing to do with this. That would be really cool. Anyway, who knows what's going to happen next week. But this whole thing just seems a little muddled, much like the Britt Saraya feud going into Full Gear was. Next, we had the Gun Club, who held a funeral for FTR because they at Wrestle Kingdom lost the IWGP Tag Team Championships. They previously lost the Triple A belts, and they previously lost the Ring of Honor Championships. So these guys are totally beltless. This was just a fine segment. It was kind of funny. I do get a kick out of the Guns, and the best thing about it was they ended it by saying Top Guns out. I guess when we see FTR again, it will be the Guns that they're after to try and end their losing streak. Next, quick match between Jade Cargill and Red Velvet taking on Sky Blue and KIERA HOGAN. This is more of just the same that we've seen in Jade with recent weeks. They're playing out a storyline with the baddies. I'm not sure how well they're playing it. So we've already lost KIERA HOGAN in the baddies, and it seems we're losing Red Velvet next. It just feels like Jade, her run as TBS championship, it feels like it's kind of really hit a wall. And now we're focusing on this body stuff that I don't think is maybe the right way to capture interest. It feels like, yeah, something really needs to happen to shake it up. I can't see them putting the belt on Red Velvet, because the way they've used Red Velvet, she's an amazing talent, I must say, but the way they've used her since she came into this company is always as a secondary person, you know, and I just can't see her being the one that ends this amazing year-long winning streak that Jade's on. So I don't know, maybe a spot for Mercedes, who knows. Okay, then we had the main event. Another hometown boy, Darby Allin, taking on Samoa Joe for the AEW TNT title. Firstly, what I thought was really nice is they mentioned the late buddy Wayne on commentary. If you listen to a lot of like F4W online, you know he was Bryan Alvarez's trainer, and his son Nick Wayne is a wrestler who's already signed to AEW, but they're just waiting for him to finish school, turn 18. He was there in the front row. Darby hugged him. It was a really beautiful moment, made just even better by how this match went. And then, of course, Samoa Joe comes out. He's such a heel that he grabs Nick Wayne by the throat. But Darby Allin hit a dive. He hit Joe with his skateboard. These two had a great match a couple of weeks ago, and this was along the same line. They are such a brilliant mismatch pairing that works so good together. There was a lot of the usual stuff from Darby Allin, him being like the underdog that will absolutely try anything to win, that you can't keep down. And let's get into the ending sequence here. We had Joe taking off the corner buckle pad. Darby Allin tried to float over Stunner, but he fell into a rear naked choke again. Allin was in like hitting his chest like a sting, and he ran Joe headfirst into exposed corner. He hit a code red and multiple coffin dots, and then he won. Darby Allin won in Seattle. Yes, put the baby faces over in their hometown. What an outlandish idea. This worked so well. We had confetti coming down from the sky. It felt truly emotional. You could see it on Darby's face. Yeah, he's been TNT champion before, but you could tell that it meant something to him to win the belt in Seattle. And then Sting, his daddy, came down to celebrate with him. I thought for a second, is this going to be a turn between Darby and Sting? But it wasn't. It was just all love, all happiness, all celebration, and a great way to end the first Dynamite of 2023. I'm so glad to see the belt back on Darby. I don't think that it worked with Joe having it, just because he was also carrying the Ring of Honor title. I think things got a little bit muddled. They really dropped the ball somewhere with the TNT title as far as its level of importance, and I think Darby's a great person to build it back up. And then I think the next person I'd like to see hold it is Wardlow, and get like a proper, actually good focused run this time. As for Darby, I hope that we see him rise more in 2023. I think the partnership with Sting, you guys know how much I love Sting. He's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and I have loved him for a long time, but I don't know how much more we can get out of this partnership. And even if they just part as friends, I'll be happy. But so excited for Darby. Excellent match. Just excellent atmosphere and happiness. It was wonderful. As for who I was the biggest fan of on this show, it was Darby Allin. Congratulations, Darby Allin, on your TNT Championship win in your hometown of Seattle. It was a wonderful moment, and it was my favorite moment of the show. And that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also go follow me on Twitter at Stephanie M. Chase, on Instagram at Stephanie M. Chase, and on TikTok too. And yes, I am still making my 2022 AEW trip video. It's so long. It's so long. That was the YouTube overlords texting me to get your video ready and stop talking about it. But yeah, it's been really long, and I haven't been that well this week. And then there was Christmas, and there was so much to do. But anyway, I will have it to you in the next couple of days. But thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.